mostly about different kinds of legislation and things like this. And one thing that came up again and again is the concept of antisocial behavior. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, that's right. Because where they're going with the terrorism laws, and I knew this was the real purpose of them. The terrorist laws are going to encompass everything in your life, including your opinions.
Yeah.
Or if you're not, we used to call it political correctness.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not politically correct in a certain area, then you're a potential terrorist against this group or that group or whatever. So everything was going to boil down to terrorism, and therefore we must all be social, very socialized, and of course it's the top that defines their version of what a good, well-adjusted, socialized citizen is.
Yeah.
It's someone who has no thoughts or opinions of their own.
Oh my God! I mean, what do you think they will? At the beginning, of course, they will just, I guess, have this implemented through, consensus trends, I guess, just hammering this enough in the media and people will start to behave. But we have, these kinds of things now where cameras are able to, shout at you and stuff like this.
Yeah.
And this is...
Yeah, that's right. You'll be singled out in a crowd.
Yeah.
Because they also have boom microphones, very advanced, which can pick up your conversations.
Mm.
On those cameras, and at up to 200 yards, they can pick you up as clear as could be. And if you're making an offhand comment or maybe a joke about something, one day a screen is going to pop up, and your face is going to be on it, and they'll try to shame you publicly into repentance.
Oh my God! And another thing, of course, that I think kind of ties into all of this is, of course, the dumbing down in general of the population. But on top of this, we have stuff going on like, of course, the general medication, of course. But beyond that, we have the food issue, and of course, we have stuff like fluoride and aspartame, which allegedly, affects your both your judgments and also, of course, your ability to kind of connect and in a coherent way things that actually is going on around you. Have you heard about this?
No doubt on that. In fact, even with the heavy spraying, when they're spraying heavily, and it's unmistakable when they're doing it, you talk to people and you'll find they have sticky thinking, they have trouble recollecting. Mm-hmm. And they'll admit it to you, even the younger ones, they have a hard time thinking through it, so they're a fog in the brain.
Yeah.
And so we are being affected by that, along with the genetically modified food.
Yeah.
And along with all the inoculations we've been getting. This has all been done by design. And if you were on their side at the top, and you looked at this master battle plan for the world, you would use all of these techniques to give yourself a docile, not too bright population as you go through the major changes.
Yeah. In some sense, I mean, I don't know who it was who referred to us as useless eaters. Was it Kissinger or?
Bertrand Russell was one of the first ones to publish it.
Yeah.
Useless eaters. Yeah, that was discussed at the big think tanks 100-odd years ago.
Yeah, and it feels like they're intensely on one level also, dumbing everyone down to kind of justify it in their own sick mind, I guess, that they're doing the right thing because we are incoherent and we can't adjust to all the things that have to go on in their new world order, basically.
Yes. And when you realize how long in the planning this you see, here's the thing, even atheists have a problem here because they look at the New Testament. And in the New Testament, you have this very mystical, occultic language used in Revelations. Mm-hmm. It's the only book where you're seeing the mystery religion, the language of it at work openly. Mm. It's written in such an obscure way for the exoteric to understand.
Yeah.
But it's the standard mystery religion based on time, because it's all to do with astronomy. And you see, the constellations are the best time clock that you have for long-term planning.
Yeah.
And you have the ages. And, of course, we saw this when George Bush Sr., at the start of the first Gulf War, said, I see a new world order coming into view.
Indeed.
And he said it's all going to the heavenly plan. Well, that's what he was referring to, was the constellations of the age of Aquarius, when they were to push forward with 100% of their might towards the completion. In Revelations, which is revealing, and it's also Revelations to reveal. If you look at the definition, also means to reveal. So as you give out a meaning, you're veiling the truth. From the profane, those who are not too bright to understand.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can't figure it out. And in Revelations, you have the sequence of the timetable, and they could safely say when they wrote that at the end, no one could buy or sell without the mark of the beast.
Yeah.
You see?
Do you think that is the microchip?
They have no doubt on it. They knew all that time ago that the power of money, money pays for all research.
Yeah.
You direct the course of the world by the grants you give off to scientists. They only go in the directions they're told to go in.
Yeah.
Even when you go off in any tangent, you would starve unless you went the way they told you to go.
Yeah.
But they understood thousands of years ago that they could buy all the brain in the world with money.
Yeah.
And they knew that through experimentation and so on, and directing the course of the world, they could pull this off by the age of Aquarius.
You know, that's interesting, because it feels like, just as you say, they're also at the same time are able to use, the best computers in the world, which basically at this point is the human brain. And that they have compartmentalized, the sciences in such a way that they are able to, extract exactly what information they want to from the work and the research that is being done by all, these millions of scientists, and then they can put together, what parts they want to build their, machine or whatever. So it's very
absolutely
brilliant.
And if you're always using warfare, then you're always in charge of secret warfare testing laboratories too.
Yeah.
Which are always a way ahead of the rest.
Yeah.
Because they have unlimited funding. So it's not such a big deal to realize you can plan the future if you already own, and you've pulled the first con, which is money in itself.
Yeah.
If you get people to accept money and stop working to exchange things with each other and accept money, you now already dominate the world.
Amazing. And I mean, there must be some kind of, talk, I guess, going on at the top, that they on some level, consider themselves as gods, when they have the power to control and manipulate these vast amounts of people who basically, worship these people on one level.
Yes. They control the whole world, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's heady enough if you were one of them.
Yeah.
Just to know that fact.
Yeah.
That you are part of. See, what is a god? Let's break down the definition of a deity.
Yeah.
A deity is not common. So the people are called commoners. They marry in common. They do not have their wives or husbands selected for them.
Yeah.
Whereas the elite have always had a priesthood, still do, who obviously take incredible patience and time to go through genealogies to match them up for specific reasons. So they're not commoners. Gods are not commoners. Gods have the power of life and death over the populations.
Yeah.
Well, they have that through everything that they own, including the food supply. They already have that. Gods can create life or forbid it to be born. They can do that scientifically today.
Yeah.
They can create life. They can also mandatorily, if they wish to, abort. They can force it.
Yeah.
So under the definitions, and again, gods generally, in their perfect state, would become immortal. Now, in their inner religion, they've always believed in reincarnation at the top.
Yeah.
But not generalized reincarnation. They believe, and you'll find this in the Roman histories too. They wrote probably more about that, along with the Greeks. They believe that their spirits are connected with the soul. That's completion, body, soul, spirit, your first trinity. And when the soul was complete with the spirit, then you were technically a god. And when you died, that completed spirit could reincarnate into the same family lineage, or say into your grandson or your great-grandson. And they really believed that. And the Romans kept the Lares going, the spirits of the household fires, and they would pray to them. They believed they were praying to their own ancestors, and they believed they were the reincarnations of their ancestors too.
You see, that's a very interesting point, because I've elaborated on this myself quite a bit in regards to, why the interbreeding is going on, and if a soul kind of I guess is connected to a certain kind of DNA, which makes, I guess, that it attracts a spirit, I guess, a certain type of DNA, then just exactly as you say, if they are able to, keep the DNA line within a family, they basically can have, the older spirits, I guess, who have passed away, like the grandmother or grandfather, actually reincarnate again into the line. It's a fascinating idea.
In some of the more higher occultic books, they go into this in more detail with their history of it.
All right.
And what they claimed was that they were the ones, the rebels, that were cast here.
Yeah.
And when they came, they were pure spirit, perfected spirit. They claimed that the commoners were already here.
Yeah.
And when they came here, they formed the first perfect bodies for themselves to inhabit by pure willpower. But when they started to inbreed with the people who lived here already, they've lost certain powers.
Yeah.
So they had to go back to keeping lineages and back to inbreeding with each other to try and regain those powers.
Do you think that there is, any truth to that, or is it, self-fulfilling?
I know that many of those at the top believe it themselves.
Yeah.
You'll also find, for instance, in the ceremonies to do with the pharaohs. There were Hamites, the tribe that lived, who run Egypt, and they themselves had when a pharaoh was dying, they would bring him in to the main sarcophagus, towards the sarcophagus. They would lay the sun next to him, and they performed a ceremony called the opening of the mouth ceremony, very detailed, very long.
Yeah.
And if the sun was absent, visiting other areas or satrapies, they called them, that they dominated, they would put the spirit into a statue through the same formula, like a holding tank.
Yeah.
And when the sun came back, they would then complete it, and then the sun would be able to carry not only his own spirit, but the complete spirit of his father as well. And that's what they claim gave them such vast knowledge and intelligence.
Very interesting, and I'd love to continue on that theme, and of course more about Egypt and the pharaohs, because that's a very interesting era right there. But for now, Alan, we are basically totally out of time here. But before we finish off, tell folks about your website and about some of your products that you have available there.
Yes, well, they can look into cuttingthroughthematrix.com, and they'll see some of the books I've got for sale. Some CDs with 12-hour shows on them, with histories, ancient histories of religions, and also some DVDs there. I'm making more right now this winter.
Oh, excellent.
Up there for sale.
Excellent. So it's cutting through the matrix. And Alan, again, thank you so much for coming on, and I'm looking forward very much to next month.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for listening. We will be back on Thursday with our regular Christopher Morse. And hopefully Chris will have a second guest scheduled to join us during that show, so stay tuned, fun things ahead. And before we finish up here today, if you are not a subscriber, consider signing up with us, support this show, and get access to our subscriber interviews. Thanks to Fredrik behind the controls. We will talk more on Thursday. This is Henrik Palmgren signing off.
When you're